Being a content creator comes with its own privacy and mental health challenges. It's a lonely job, you need a support system, and you also need to build community. My guest today is none other than Salem King. And Salem King talks about all things community, having a support system, how to manage those little snacky comments here and there on social media, and really understanding your why as a content creator. I am your host, Tosiolani, and this is the Creatives Lounge. You blast loud music.
Yeah, like I'll actually blast loud music and just dance or jump around to just get my energy levels
Well,
up.
this is a good place to start. So let's start with your process. the Salem before the screen.
Yeah.
How do you hype up yourself before?
Yeah, so I'm an introvert, right? So I don't
You
bring
say
the,
that, but
I don't bring the most bubbly energy to every room that I walk into. I'm the guy who sometimes I'm just in the corner observing. But with content is my opportunity to let out all my loud thoughts out, right? But if I let those loud thoughts out as myself, it will just be. So I normally have to get my energy levels up to put up an act. Do you get? Because that's how I see my content. I don't see it as just me talking to a camera. I feel like it's an act. It's something that I get into character to create. So yeah.
do you think you ever go into the movie industry?
I might. I'm not really fighting for it or intentionally pursuing it, but if opportunities come, I think I'd say yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack
Yeah.
and go to your childhood. Did you always, like my last guest said, like Rotimi said, he always knew he was going to be in that creative space, even though he didn't have a name. So did you always know or have it at the back of your mind that you were always going to be
No, I had no idea. I mean, I knew I was always a very curious and inquisitive child, but I had no idea it was going to be. I mean, content wasn't a thing, obviously. I also didn't see myself being on TV or anything. What I do know I wanted to be is a pastor. I'm serious.
well, there are some similarities.
I mean,
in
my
both.
dad is a pastor, and
okay.
my love
That
for
makes sense.
teaching and my passion for transferring knowledge, I get all of that from my dad because he still is an amazing teacher. Apart from the fact that he's a pastor and all, he's a great teacher, and I get that from him. When I was small, there was this pastor in our church. He used to preach and he used to sing. I wanted to be like him so bad because he was the closest to what I thought I was going to be. I also wanted to be a musician. I thought I was going to be a singer, like professionally.
Professional singer.
Yeah, because I love music. I still love music. I still sing, but not as a career anymore right now.
Do you think you pursue it as a career?
I think I'm going to pursue creating musical projects.
Okay.
I don't really, the way my life has gone so far, I don't really see anything as, this is my career. It's like, okay, this is what I want to do today. This is what I'm doing today. Or this
So
is
every
what
day is a new day to pursue new
yeah. I mean,
opportunities.
and day is figurative in this sense because a day could be 6 months or 1 year. Like, okay, in this season, this is what I'm committing my energies to. So I think there might be some time in the future where I'm committing a large amount of time, money, effort, collaboration, resources, relationships to creating music projects. Not now, Sha.
So speaking of, you growing up in a Christian home, being your dad is a pastor or things like that, do you think your faith has played a huge role in your content, the way you put your content out, how you view yourself, things like that? What role do you think your faith has played in your career as a content creator?
That's a great question. You're asking a really good question. Well, I would say my faith informs my purpose, right? And the way I think about life. And so when I do content, I don't see it as this thing I'm doing for likes and comments. I don't even think about content within the context of Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. Those are just channels. Those are just platforms that I use to do what I believe I have been sent to do. Do you understand? And speak to people that I know with a surety that I have a responsibility to speak to, because those are people who, God wants to reach and tell them about who they are. and I'm the guy for the job. Do you get? So yeah, my
Do you
faith,
get?
so my faith definitely influences, because I get my purpose and identity from my faith,
Yes.
and that just flows into everything else.
So you never get crazed about the numbers. Like you never like, oh my god, this video didn't get
I'm a
as many
human
views. I
being
put
now.
so much.
I'm a human being now.
Because honestly, I would have said you should teach me or teach
Nah,
us, because I think that's one of the mental pullbacks that a lot of creatives have. Like, I put so much work into this. Why is it not getting as many views or as many likes, as many comments? As, why have I not blown? Why have I been on 3,000 followers for the past, X amount of years? How did you, shift your mind away from? Of course, there are days you probably feel like, this should have gotten more, but you're not fixated on it.
Yeah.
So how did you shift your mind from, to see it in a different light?
Yeah, so I've over time, I've really learned how to accept things that I cannot change, right? Like I said, I don't think about content only within the context of Instagram and algorithm. And no, like it's so much more for me, right? And I know why I'm doing what I do. So there's certain things that I don't have control over. I don't have control over how many people are going to comment on a post, or how many people are going to like it, or how many people are going to share. What I do have control over is how qualitative that post is, the quality of the post. I have control over how much research I do into who I am creating it for and how to communicate directly to them. Then I have control over my consistency and my ability to show up. So I don't have goals like at the end of the year, I want to hit so number of followers. I mean, it's somewhere in my brain that, I would like, but I don't write it down as a goal because it's outside of my control. If I say I want to hit 100K at the end of the year and I don't hit 100K, does that mean I failed?
No.
So that's where a lot of people get it wrong. They create a goal out of factors that are not within their control, and then when they fall short, they consider it a failure, or when they surpass it, they consider it a success, and then they internalize it and make it part of their identity when it is not. So that's how please, so that's how I think about it. When the numbers are like great, I'm like yay, and I move on, because the one thing I'm committed to more than anything is my consistency, is my showing up, because that's how I'll get better. And it's hard, don't get me wrong, like I understand how hard it is, because on social media you have access to so much information about what's happening to other people and other people's journeys. It almost looks like some people just came yesterday, they've already blown. Me and you, we've been doing this thing like that. Every day we see them. Somebody will just come, have one viral reel. Before you know, they've hit 500K. I'm like, God, am I a potato? Like, I've been here since.
Me, I even do some days. I remember there was one time you did it. Was it 30 days challenge? And you were posting like every day, and somebody would just come post 5 million.
You get? And I'm just like, what's happening? But the problem is, like, you don't have control over that, and you just need to accept it. You need to come to terms with your powerlessness. So that's something that I am very in touch with, and it hasn't been immediate. It's been something I've learned and practiced over a period of time. Yesterday, 2 days in a row. Today is Friday, Wednesday and Thursday. I had two videos that went viral. On Instagram, went viral. On TikTok,
I saw it on TikTok.
Went viral, over 100,000 views, combined about like 300K views. And I started to feel pressure to recreate it. But I've been doing this long enough to know that that's not how it works. So I woke up today and made the thing that I wanted to make, not with any expectation of it going viral. Because when I made those ones too, I didn't know they were going to go viral. I was just having fun. So that's how I deal.
That's, the thing is, today I've heard two conflicting advice when it comes to growing on social media. This morning I was listening to a podcast and the lady said, when you try something on TikTok and it works well, do it again and do it again until people are tired, then you pivot. And when she said it, I was thinking, I'm not exactly sure that is the right. I don't think you're supposed to wait till when people are tired of it before you pivot. I think you should do it like way before.
Yeah.
So that people don't just get, they don't get bored and like, oh,
Yeah.
that's the only thing she's always doing.
Exactly.
Don't you have something else? And when you do,
Exactly.
okay, so for example, if you did a particular type of content and it did well, you did it again, it did well, and then you just leave it, do something else.
Yeah.
In like 2 weeks, if you do it that first one again,
Exactly.
it has more
It has a
impact,
freshness, yeah.
yes, than you're doing it every day, and it just gets to the point people are like, well,
Yeah.
I'm bored and things like that. So my next question is, how have you been able to still retain your brand identity? That's like Salem.
Yeah.
Once we see a video, we know that this is Salem,
Yeah.
but you are still trying to put out something unique or
Yeah.
something fresh each time.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the lady, I don't think she's wrong. Not entirely, do you get? It depends. If you're a business, for example, and the amount of visibility you get on a video directly impacts your sales, you might actually want, if something works and generates a whole lot of sales, you might actually want to double down on it. There's an advantage that can come from that. You might want to double down on it. But as a creator, let's say a lifestyle creator, for example, you need to understand that when your video goes viral, I said it today earlier that that's not, by tomorrow everybody's going to move on.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are a million viral videos every day. That you are not the first person, you won't be the last. So by the time everybody's moving on, it will be important for you to
move on.
To have moved on. It's like, in past tense, like you have to have moved on. So that's how I think about it. I'm also very much in touch with my why. Why I decide to do what I do. And I'm not easily dissuaded by what's popular. I'm not quick to jump on trends. Like, oh, the algorithm is pushing reels, let's start. I'm not in a hurry, but I'll start when I start. Like when I start. When TikTok first, everybody's like, TikTok. I'm like, yeah, I'll come around, but like, allow me, I beg. I don't like to do things because of FOMO, Everybody's like, oh, let's rush and do this, and everybody jumps on it. Now, I don't advise people to do that because I like to be convinced, I like to rationalize things to myself before I decide to pursue it. So that's something that has helped me a lot, to just stay grounded. Because when you work in social media as a job, it's very difficult to stay grounded. There's this whole thing where there's even accounts dedicated to telling you, oh, there's this trending sound, jump on this. There's this, I ignore them, right? Not because it doesn't help. There are people that it helps, but it's not good for me. I've found out that I cannot keep up at that pace. I can't keep up with trends.
Yeah.
A lot of my content is evergreen stuff, right? Like, I could talk about it today, and 3 years from now, whatever I say in a video is still relevant. And I like to create content like that because it makes me not be under pressure. Because my own philosophy of life is I approach life slowly, right? I'm not really in a hurry. I am ambitious, but I'm not hungry. So I approach life really slowly. So even with social media, these are like the guardrails that I put around my life to just make sure that, I'm not jumping on trends every time. Of course, when a video goes viral, I consider, should I switch my whole content direction? I'm just like, nah, I don't think I want to put myself under that pressure. I want to continue creating from the place of, I don't want to say comfort, but from the place of rest that thing that went viral came from. If I respond to the trajectory that I'm taking on because of that video that went viral, I lose the piece where that piece of content came from, because I'm now chasing something, and I prefer not to chase. I prefer to just attract. So that's my philosophy.
But the funny thing is, you were actually way ahead of the game, because they may be wrong, but if you listen to a lot of TikTok social media gurus now, they say that the future of social media content is original content. So using trending sounds and all of that, after a while, will not cut it anymore.
Exactly.
And I know that is from the get-go, you have always been like the original creator. You're always creating stuff out from your own place, like there's no trending sound. If you feel like, okay, this song even goes with the vibe of it, you edit it in yourself. It's not like, oh, you can click on the sound and see 12,000 people have used this sound. So I think that's a great thing on your part, and I also think that your approach is kind of linked to your faith, which is why I asked you earlier. When we speak about rest, I'm not about to preach now, but when you mentioned rest, it just reminded me of, it makes sense that, you know, his faith is kind of linked, because that is what is expected of us, that you create from a place of rest. You create as if, I mean, you have 1 million followers, but do you know who I have? I have the creator of the 1 million followers, you know. So you are creating from the place of, I already have it. I'm not chasing for it. All. And I think that's amazing. So let's go back a bit. What did you study in school?
Economics. You mean like uni?
Uni.
Economics.
You studied economics?
Yeah.
So right out of uni, did you do content or you had a 9 to 5?
No, I didn't do content till like 4 years after uni.
So you were working in 9 to 5. Now, when you decided that you wanted to do content, what did your family say? Were they supportive from the get-go? Did they say, not in my house? All those kind of things?
They're supportive. My mom always knew that I had a teaching gift. But what I had shared with her is I wanted to be like a facilitator, like a motivational speaker and stuff like, you know, I really looked up to FD, Steve Harris, Fela Drote, by the way. Steve Harris, all those people, I looked up to them.
I got that Fela Drote vibe, like from the beginning. I was like, this guy is giving me Fela Drote of a Gen Z level. But okay.
But I mean, when you're 21 years old, what do you want to teach people? What do you want to tell them about life or how to live? So I just thought it would be this thing that would be like a way in the future. And my mom always, you know, supported me. She would pay for me to go to trainings and, you know, tell me, oh, there's this person is coming to town. You probably want to go there. And so she was supportive on that end. And when I started to do that on social media, they were also very supportive. But of course, the average African parent is worried when you want to do it as a full-time job. So that's where the issue was. And that's part of the reasons why after a while I moved out, because it was just difficult to work from home. Because I still have traditional parents, like they go out in the morning, come back in the evening type thing.
And you've been at home for money.
Exactly, wearing the same joggers and t-shirts. They left me in when they were going out. So it was difficult to explain that, I'm working, I'm actually busy. It didn't make a lot of sense, you know, and till now, on some level, I think they're still worried.
But now you have a 9 to 5, right?
Yeah, but I quit.
So you quit your 9 to 5 again now?
She said again.
I'm saying again because one of the questions I actually had was, how are you like managing your 9 to 5 and your content creation? Because I have a 9 to 5 and I can tell you for a fact that it's a struggle, basically. It's not easy, like doing both at the same time. So I guess now that you've quit, so my question is, it's so fast. How was it managing both? And you quitting, is it because it just wasn't easy, or you just felt, you know what, I think this content creation is it for me. I don't think 9 to 5 is for me. Yeah,
so one of the questions I get a lot of times is, why did you go back to 9 to 5? You know? And the way I answer is that I don't really view my life as going back to anything. You know, I'm always moving forward. So if there's an opportunity on the way and I decide to take it, I'm taking that opportunity because of what I can bring, the value I can bring, and the value that I can receive in light of my current circumstances and my future hopes and dreams. And with every opportunity, it's okay at some point to admit that, okay, I don't think this is working for me, or I don't think I'm giving as much value as I could be giving, or I don't think this is giving me as much as it could be giving, you know, and I would rather devote my time to something else. So that's what the decision was like. About balancing it, I'll be honest, it was very difficult, but I think with time you figure it out. And I stopped trying to balance it. Rather, you know, this is something I learned from my friend Tonya, by the way. You know, she always says sometimes it's impossible to find a balance. Sometimes you need to just find a rhythm between everything. For everything to just basically, for everything to just dance, you know, it's like a dance and everything is intertwining with themselves. So yeah, that's what it was like for me.
I'm aspiring to that moment when I finally go back to doing content full time. I feel like for the first week I will probably just sleep.
It's funny because me now, like, it's not like I don't hate 9 to 5. I'm very, from experience, I'm very clear about what I don't want now. Do you get? So I've had contract jobs where I worked, you know, on something for like 3 months and I worked really hard, but it intersected so well with what I was already doing that the rhythm was easier to find. But within certain settings, it's harder to find the rhythm. Do you understand? And you just need to decide what's more important to you. What am I optimizing for in life? What's my priority? Do you get right now? And then based on that, make the hard decision you need to make.
So when you started content creation like how many years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Do you think what it takes to start at that time is the same thing it takes now in terms of like equipment, the zeal, the same vim you gave it then? Do you feel like it's the same now, or is there something you would change if you were starting out now?
The bar is even lower. It's easier now.
Oh, really?
Yes, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's what I'd say. Because there's TikTok,
okay,
which is insane, and if you have time on your hands, because when I started content creation, I didn't even have time, but like I was still. I don't know if you remember. I used to post at 12 midnight every night, and you know, people thought it was this thing I was doing because, you know, I wanted to form bad guy, like I post in the midnight and I still have engagement. It was literally the only time I had. Do you get? That's why I was posting, because I had a 9 to 5. I used to go out in the morning, come back in the evening, make videos at night, and then the only time I had to post was midnight. So if for somebody who has a whole lot of time on their hands, just go crazy, you know, like put out content often. People are even less worried now about quality than before, because before, you know, it was like if you're showing up on social media, one of the tips they used to give you that time for Instagram was you should post professional photos. Do you remember?
Yes.
That's what they used to say, like you need to post clear photos, and there are people who have just given the middle finger
like
to that.
Every content creator there was an editing pro.
Yes.
Like, people were so good at editing.
Your feed had
filters,
to be,
your feed. When you go to people's feed, you're like, wow, is this a page
do you get
on Vogue magazine?
Yes.
Like,
you know, it was crazy that time.
Now,
like some people you see red.
Everybody's on vibes.
Yes, that time you see red, then you see yellow.
Yeah. But some people still do that though.
Some
but
people
it's
still
not
do
as common as it
Some people still do it now, but now it doesn't make much of a difference anymore. Nobody cares. Like if your feed is arranged, oh yeah, good for you. That's it. But back then, you couldn't grow if you were not, you know, arranged like that. So I'd say it's so much easier for anybody who's here now. Now people are open to the idea of watching videos that are not clear because they are funny. Before, nobody would watch your stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I started making content and it was white and black, I was surprised that I was growing because you did not.
I guess you were just like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like, everything is perfect for everybody has perfect feed, everybody is in color, the red is redding, the yellow is yellowing. And then this guy comes with black and white and he's like, Salem King. I'm like, who is this guy? Tomorrow again, Salem King to do. I'm like, who is this guy? And before you know it, now which brings me to my next question. How were you able to build a community of something that wasn't exactly popular, wasn't exactly the in thing, but for some reason, I just say your community is one of the strongest I've seen on social media. Like, if you say, oh, you guys, I have this friend, I just started Instagram yesterday, just help me go and like the person's photo. in 5 minutes you see 500 followers. I came from Salem King and I came from Salem King. Do you think that you are just lucky to have those people, or do you think it's something you did intentionally to build that community?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a bit of luck in it. You get like the fact that I started at the exact time I started, you know, everything I did. If I started that kind of content now, I don't think it would be special to a lot of people because there's so many people creating that kind of stuff now. But at the time, I was like, wow, okay, somebody actually dared to do this in this time, you know, so it was different. I have to say though, like a community formed. I didn't wake up and like say, oh, I want to form a community. This influencer by accident, content creator by accident. I didn't know what content creation was. At that time when I was making videos, I didn't know. I was just trying to make videos. That's all. I didn't know that there was a thing like content creation. I honestly learned on the job. So a community had formed around me because I went from this guy who was nobody but to somebody who was getting hundreds of comments. And I used to respond to everybody, right?
Yeah, I remember that time.
Like, if you see 500 comments on my post, 250 is me. Because I used to respond to everybody. Now, I didn't know at the time that this was a strategy for community building. I was just grateful. That's all. Like, I just felt like, if this person took 60 seconds out of their time to engage, the least I can do is
say thank you.
Engage back, do you get? And apparently that really endeared people to me, you know, and the more the number was, I still used to respond to everybody one-on-one, you know, and all, and that community just started to form around people who found my account to be like a safe space for them to express themselves, for them to ask questions and stuff like that. So I think I was already over 10K when I started to actually become intentional about building the community. The community had already formed, do you get, without me having to do so much more than just putting out content and relating with people. It was later on I, you know, started to be like, okay, I want to know that even if I lose my Instagram account, I'll still have these people, you know, and that's when I started to now become intentional.
Do you think you sharing a bit outside of just your content also helps with
Definitely, yeah. So that's why I love Instagram stories, right? My Instagram stories till now, I have Instagram stories that get more engagement than feed posts. Yeah, because there's certain things I will not post anywhere else. But let me talk about how I started to post on Insta stories more. So because of the kind of content I used to put on my feed, because it was motivational and I was teaching and it was inspiration, a lot of people put me on a pedestal, right? And I didn't prepare for that part because I was just sharing my learnings. I didn't call myself a coach. I didn't call myself expert. I didn't call myself guru, nothing, right? But when people see that you sound like you know what you're talking about, they want to outsource certain parts of their life to you, you know, and yeah, I'm like, so I needed to show everybody, I'm a small boy, yo. Like, I have
average everyday guy.
I'm a number, like, I'm just like the rest of everybody. I beg, like, please, you know, and, you know, that's why I started to post my stories.
So, do you think that may have made people so entitled to view certain parts of your story? Because you share so many things about the behind the scenes, like I'm an average regular guy, you share your family, your relationship, things like that. Do you think that it may have given people the idea that, you know, he's our guy, so we can just message him anytime, we can just, you know, perk into his business and things like that? And how have you been able to like create those boundaries, still, you know, check them when they try to?
Yeah, there's an art to sharing, you know, there's an art to sharing in a way that makes people feel like you're sharing a lot, but then you're really not, right? And I've mastered it because I understand that the majority of people don't have any sense of boundaries. You know, as the way Precious says, it's like you give them your hand, they want your armpit. One time I went to church and like somebody walked up to me and just hugged me tight, you know, and I was like, I was trying to remember, where do I know this person from? Did we go to school together? Is he an old friend that I don't remember? Is he somebody that I don't recognize because he looked different? Is he I didn't know what he was. And then like I tried to process, I couldn't remember. I'm like, hi, and like, wow, I really love your content. I mean, I'm like, that's why you came to hug me. Like, I don't know you, fam. Like, why didn't you just wave or shake my hand? But I get it. So I learned something from my friend Blessing. She says that she recommends, when creators ask, how do I share without sharing? She says you have to decide which part of your life you will never share with the public.
Yes.
And with everything else, just go crazy. Knowing the parts that you've accepted that okay, this is going to be on the internet forever and ever. With those parts, just go crazy. So that's what I do. So with my day-to-day, like where I'm going or what I'm eating, I'll share a lot of that. I will build stories around, because that's something that I personally enjoy, not because of influencers. Like even when I was not an influencer, I just enjoyed, romanticizing my life, and making basic things look beautiful, and talking about hot chocolate like it's the best thing in the world, and fried yam and all that stuff. It now makes people feel like they know you because they have all these little bits of information about you. But I'm still very clear, and establishing with people that I don't know you, we're not friends, right? I care about you, I care about your journey, your creative journey, but we're not friends. This is what friendship means, and that's not what we have, and I also talk about my friends a lot. I think I've mentioned my friends like how many times on this show, because I need people to know that these are my friends. Do you understand? Not everybody, acquaintance is not the same as people that are my friends. So yeah, that's how I deal.
I saw this tweet that I think it was Precious that tweeted it last week of someone that I think you asked a question in your story, and someone asked a question or just made a comment, something that had to do with Precious, and it was a very weird comment. So when people, I'm sure you've received billions of such comments, how does that have an impact on the things you share moving forward? Does it have an impact on like those people? Do you block them, or do you because I feel like I'll just block you. Like, why are you? I can't remember the comments. I don't know. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was somebody asking, like, what is it about her? You said,
exactly. Like, what gives you the guts to enter my husband's page or my boyfriend's page and ask, oh, what is it about this your babe? Me, I won't reply. I'll just block you. Like, this negativity, just go away from me. But how do you manage those kind of comments? I saw that you just gave her you gave her an answer and she probably is like, ish. But how do you manage that? And does it come a lot, or it's just in a million good comments? You see one silly comment like that?
It's mostly in a million I see one, because people in my community generally have sense. Right? People, they behave well.
That person, they say you don't have sense.
I'm not confirming or denying it.
Me, I'm saying it. You definitely don't have sense, because if you do, it's clear that this person has a girlfriend. They are not complaining to you, and even if they do, I don't think you have the right.
But the way I see it is because I like to see the good side. If I can't see the good side in someone, I like to see the good side in the situation. And the way I see it is always an opportunity to establish clear boundaries. It's an opportunity to communicate to my audience. This is what's important to me. Don't mess with this. If not, I will kick you out. That type of thing. That day I was tired and I didn't just have strength. If not, I've taken my time to actually respond to the person. So every now and then when I get comments like that, I use it to set a precedence. I see it as an opportunity to establish with everybody that, okay, I'm amazing, I love you guys, you're great, but don't cross this freaking line. Do you get? Don't do this, don't say this, you're not allowed to do this in this community. So a lot of times it's somebody who's new, it's somebody who hasn't been around for long. But everybody who's a strong member of my community, there's a certain level of decorum and good behavior that is expected, even unspokenly.
Personally, I feel like even if you are new, that's more time. You should relax and read the room.
Exactly.
Read the room. Don't just be. I was so pissed when I saw that.
Precious is going to like this part of the.
I was so pissed when I saw that comment because I was like, Ed must be paying you, because if Ed is not paying you, what? So is she expecting you to now come and be listening? These are the reasons I love Precious. Number one, she is this. Number two, or is that comment supposed to make you rethink? Like, I just don't know what that comment is supposed to do. Many times when a creator I follow, does that, ask a question, or maybe when they post something, I see something that I may want to comment. Like, we are human beings. It's normal for silly thoughts to enter your head once in a while. But I ask myself that, number one, of what use is this comment? Is it going to, is it adding to the conversation in a positive way? Is it going to uplift this person? Like, what was that comment supposed to do? I guess maybe the person really like you, and the person's like, maybe I should use this time to shoot my shots.
That's too bad.
But do people actually shoot their shots? That's another question. Do people actually dare to shoot their shot at you?
Yeah, every now and then. But like, it's
they are not even scared. They are precious to claw their eyes out.
So when I see messages like that, I just delete it. I don't even read it or respond. I don't engage. I just end it there.
Please leave Salem alone.
Yeah.
On behalf of Precious, leave Salem alone.
It's crazy because social media gives you access to a whole lot of people that you normally wouldn't have access to. And it's so important to be careful. Of course, to not live in fear, because there are plenty of people that you need to reach and help and all, but to also be very protective of your personal space, because nobody's going to do it for you. All these experiences, they make me a little more guarded. With every new experience, I become a little more guarded, because I know that the responsibility to protect your personal space, your family, is yours. So that's why I know a couple, for example, that they don't post their children. Nobody knows how their children look like on social media, except you know them in person. There are people that don't post their spouse, and people make
Are you
fun.
shading me, Salem?
People poke fun. Sometimes people poke fun and say, those things people say now on Twitter, like even though you hide, the relationship will still end. All those kind of things. I feel like that's very insensitive, and you need to respect how much of their lives people decide to share with you. But again, it's back to you, because as much as you want to share, people are ready to take. Do you understand? So it's you that now has to decide that, okay, this one, I don't want to share this with the public. And even if this one, I've decided to share, but I'm not going to accept you saying rubbish about it. I'm going to clear you. I'm going to block you. All of that is your responsibility.
So let's talk about mental health. You mentioned that you're an introvert, and as much as some people say, oh, you don't look like it, but I consider myself an introvert.
What?
Yes, so my husband doesn't agree, but I consider myself an introvert. For so many reasons, he knows, he's just trying to throw me. And one of the things that, that I, at least as an introvert, that I consider myself as, and my general conversation with other people that are introverts, we are very much in our heads. Like, sometimes we overthink things. There's just so much thoughts going on that you don't necessarily voice out. Now, my question is, how does content, or being a content creator, or being in the public eye, does it have certain effects on your mental health and like your thought process and all of that, everything that has to do with the mental? And how do you manage that? Do you go for therapy? Do you self-therapize like Rotimi? Or are you just on vibes? Or what exactly is your mental manual, so to speak?
I wouldn't say I have a mental manual. I have a coping mechanism though. Memes. Yes. That's unhealthy. I don't recommend, guys. But yeah, that's how I navigate some of it. But the thing is, apart from even being a content creator, just being a young Nigerian living in Nigeria, you go collect. You get like there'll just be a certain different, even if it's not from living life or adulthood, from your past, triggers, stuff like that. There's so many things fighting against your joy at all times, So being a content creator comes with additional, because it comes with awareness that I don't have the permission to decline. Do you get, like, the access I have to the information about what's happening in everybody else's lives, and about other content creators, and about which deal everybody is signing, and all that. So I find a lot of joy and peace and calm in community. Right, so my inner circle, I know they use them play. Like, I stay close to my inner circle. I have people that I speak to. None of them are content creators. They are people they're just normal people that I'm able to talk about my life with. I also try as much as possible to never process my pain outwardly on social media. So I'm not going to come to social media to cry, or not even cry itself. Like, some people act out. Human beings are more obvious than we think. So sometimes you see somebody post something, I can just tell that this one is going through a lot.
Yeah.
You can tell that this person is going through a lot and they are processing it on social media. And I get that, sometimes, it's the only outlet or something, but I make sure to connect with community, in those times when things are hard. I'm not ashamed to be seen struggling, not publicly, with people in my inner
with your
circle.
safe space, because a lot of people think social media is a safe space. I remember when Clubhouse was going crazy one time, when everybody was on Clubhouse, and then you will see a chat room, or I don't know what they call it on Clubhouse, with like 5,000 people listening, and then the host is like, "Don't worry, feel free, this is a safe space." I'm like, 5,000 people are listening. This is not a safe space.
We need to know the difference, It's not a safe space. And it's not because I don't believe social media is inherently bad. Sometimes people be like, "Oh, social media is fake," I always, because someone who works in social media, I always take the opportunity to correct them and say, "No, social media is not toxic. Who are you following? What are you feeding your mind? There's unfollow there, there's block, there's restrict, there's mute. What are you not using? Why did they put it there?" Do you understand? You can actually, what's the word now? You can actually curate your experience of social media. So I don't agree when people say it's toxic. However, we were not designed as human beings to have that many friends. It's not realistic.
Hi friends, 4 million followers.
It's not realistic. So one of two things is going to happen. If you actively view 5,000 people as your friends, it's going to affect your real life relationships, because you don't have the capacity to give that much to that many people. So you need to always keep in mind that these are not my friends, these are my followers, these are my clients, these are my social media, whatever you want to call it, but they are not your friends. You need to have friends apart from social.
You need
of
a
course,
support system.
Yeah, you need a support system. It may be people from social media, or it may be people that from social media, relationships started from social media, but you need to have an actual inner circle apart from, otherwise, every time you have a problem, you're going to want to process it with those people. Because that's where the strongest sense of belonging in your life comes from. My strongest sense of belonging does not come from Instagram, So, and Instagram can, Instagram or any other social media platform can be a drug.
Yeah.
It can be a drug.
Clout is a drug.
Clout is a drug. You will want more.
Like,
your brain will ask you for more shots of that. Your brain will ask you for more shots of that drug. So you need to know that, okay, this is not a healthy way to process my pain. I need to process it within healthy, meaningful community.
There are so many gems. I'm like, Salem is preaching. No, I know why I wanted to be a pastor. Like, if you do eventually become a pastor, you see me front row, I'm like, preach, pastor.
That one don't pass.
So you think you'll never be a pastor?
No, I don't know.
Never say never.
I'm just saying, like, if God is listening, you should, I beg, don't do that. Thank you.
You know what? I like crack a joke, and it's like, oh, tomorrow, what if God calls me to be a pastor? I said, drop that call. Cut the call. Or tell him, maybe he should flash you, but don't pick that call. Let's talk about the financial hula baloo. I always breathe when I'm talking about finances with creatives or creators, because it's a very weird industry where you can be balling in dollars today and tomorrow Brooklyn.
Bro, it's crazy.
So, first off, when did you get your first brand deal, or when did the first time you worked with a brand and you were paid money to work with the brand?
I don't remember, but it was sometime in 2019. But the one that I remember, was one some months into creating content that a brand reached out. That one never took off, because they wanted to give me 20K for plenty different things. I just said no.
I'm happy for you that you said no, because a lot of creatives actually went through that phase where they accept the 5K, the 10K, the 20K.
Calm down. I was excited when I saw the email. I'm like, me, you pay me, this thing that I already do for free. I was excited. And I went to show somebody who was like a mentor, and she's just like, 20,000. I didn't mad. She typed an email like, send this back to them. Me, I felt bad though, because I'm like,
20K
just
now.
collect this, extra money.
Now, I go use and buy.
You get. But I said, and that didn't go through. But I think he sent a message. The person who sent me the email we're friends now. I think he sent a very clear message that, okay, this guy, okay,
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, which is hard. It's hard. Sometimes you have to say no. When you're hungry.
Yes.
It's the hardest thing in the world, because you'll be feeling stupid. This is one time when a brand wanted to pay a certain amount, and my manager was like, no, we're not taking that money. This is like years ago. I was broke. We were broke. He's like, no, we're not taking that amount. I'm like, but we need the money. And he's like, yeah, but this is the price. And so the brand left. We said, oh, it's not negotiable. This is the best we can do. And then they said, okay, thank you so much. We'll reach back when we can afford Salem. That's what they said. And I'm like, wow, okay. I like that. It felt good. I felt like, okay, the brand was saying, we recognize your value, but we can't afford it. So I'm like, okay, good. I think that's a better message to take out there. They'll say, oh, we couldn't afford him, rather than, I just collected whatever. And, even though at the time, things were still really rough, that mindset has carried me through, and I'm able to just negotiate more confidently.
So how did you, I know that played a vital role in you learning how to negotiate, but how did you really know, okay, if they ask me this is what I should say, these are the things I can say to leverage and ask for more? Did you have mentors that took you through that process, or did you were just going on vibes and then one day you just figured it out?
The first job I got out of uni was I was working in real estate, and we were selling luxury real estate. The lowest was over 100 million naira. So there's so much I learned in selling luxury real estate about how to communicate the value of a thing without having to oversell it. So what I learned in that job, I can imagine, transferable skills are underrated. A lot of what I know about how to establish my value without over convincing and all that, I learned from working at that job. Which
is very interesting, because a lot of influencers, especially the new ones coming up, a lot of them just stumbled. Some of them are probably in school, they just stumbled into it, and they never had that training ground. You had that training ground of the real estate job, they never had that. So they just learned on the job, took all the 5K jobs, all the 20K jobs, and all of that. Even me, I had times where I would take 20K and I would give 3 videos, 2 stories, because in my mind I was like, well,
I'm
let me
working.
just do it. At least I can put this brand on my media kit.
Exactly.
That I worked with this brand.
Yeah.
But something happened like in the last few years where I'm like, see, fine, I may not have the 100,000 followers, I may not have, but I've invested in myself
Exactly.
to the point where I know that I cannot be collecting some kind of money. Like, it's
Yeah.
even insulting for you to even offer me this
Yeah.
kind of money. And I remember one very interesting one when we were preparing for our wedding. It's like me, it stretched me. I would say that. And around that time, maybe like 2 months to the wedding, you know, everybody pay for makeup artists, pay for this, pay for this, so much to pay for. And then this brand came and they're, oh, we want to do this. And then they offered me, I can't remember, maybe $200 or something. I can't remember at that time. And I'm like, $200. Okay. I tried to negotiate, like, okay, we add it. Maybe they increased it to like 400 for, I think they wanted a YouTube video and an Instagram post for $400. I was like, if you are hearing $400 and you're in Nigeria, you're timesing it to Naira. It's a lot. It might be a lot in Naira, but if you are living in Canada and you really dip it, $400, what's the list of your bills? Maybe I would say, sorry? Maybe your groceries. $400 is probably your groceries.
Yeah.
But you will not sleep in your grocery. You need to pay rent.
Yeah.
There are so many things you have to pay for. So in fact, I had agreed because at that time I was broke. I needed the money. I was like, oh, that $400, and I'm planning a wedding in Nigeria. If I transfer it to Nigeria, when the times 470 or whatever Naira is plenty money. Like, let me just accept it. So I actually took the job. I shot the first Instagram video because in my head I'm like, it's $400. And it's an Instagram video. You want me to tell my followers about it, and I know what my followers will respond to because I know them.
Exactly.
So I sent them the video, and then they were like, oh, you should even think that, what if you want to use this video in ads? What if you want to? And I'm like, first of all,
You've got to pay for that.
you didn't tell me you wanted to use this video in ads. No. It's not like we're using it. We just want to boost it. You know, your video will land in the face of many more people. You have more followers. I'm like, so they started sending me samples of what they want, which they didn't send to me before I shot the video. They started sending me something. I'm like, well, if you want this, you have to pay more money. And then I was like, well, you have to pay more money. And you're like, oh no, we can't move our budget. So I said no. At that point, I think that was what I needed to remind me that, what's they worry you? like what's really, they worry me? Is it because you are broke, you don't want to? So I said no. And then I now messaged another person that I know that has worked with that brand. And I asked her a couple of questions. And they're like, oh yeah, the first time they offered her one silly amount and she negotiated. She gave them maybe ×5. And they agreed.
Wow.
So I was like, oh. Okay. She said then they came back again about a week before they reached out to me and they wanted to offer her one silly money, and she was like, I've given you my rate before now. If you don't accept this, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. And this person doesn't even have the number of followers that I even have on Instagram. Even as I don't have plenty, girl. She still doesn't have up to. And they paid her. So I'm like, sis, give yourself brain, oh. I know that things are hard, but those are the things that remind you, even when
and like shake you
awake. Know, like, sis, I know things are hard, but if you accept this, you will accept even worse tomorrow. And if tomorrow you just do that, okay, let me just, for a relationship, let me just do it. Tomorrow they will ask you to, they will bring something like that happened again when I reduced my rate from one brand, and then they came back 2 months later and they wanted to offer me 6 pieces of jewelry for 6 pieces of content.
That's why you shouldn't, that's one of the things I believe is, you shouldn't lower your prices for anyone, because those people who you lower your prices for, when they do have the budget to actually afford you, they don't come to you. They go to somebody else, which is crazy. There's some really messed up psychology. Yeah. But
because you would think that since you already have a relationship with this person, this is the person we should go.
But what has happened is they've put you in a certain category and they cannot pay you more than that.
This one, they didn't even offer to now pay the second time. They offered to give me 6 pieces of jewelry because it's a jewelry brand. I will not call their name, but they offer to give me 6 pieces of jewelry for 6 pieces of content, and that's it. That's the payment.
Yeah, like 12
I'm
days
like,
of Christmas now.
so I will go, and it was close to Christmas, around the same period. It was around the same period with that other brand. So I will go to market now to buy Christmas gifts and say, take jewelry, give me. It really doesn't make sense. And that brings me to my last question when it comes to monetization. A lot of people focus on the brand deals to monetize as creators or as creatives. Do you think do you think that is not, like, that should not be the mindset that you have? Or do you feel like you've got a certain number of followers? Because I know that there are some people that get a certain number of followers and the number of brand deals they have is enough to sustain them.
Yeah.
But I know that, following you for a while, I know that you have digital products, you have all of that.
Yeah.
Do you think that, your digital product should be the main source and complement, or should the brand deals be the main one?
So it depends on you. It's important to establish to yourself what kind of creator you want to be and what you want to optimize for. I know some people that have less followers than me and they make more money online, right? I know people who are not as big as I am on Instagram, but they are bigger on YouTube. There are people who are not as big as me on Instagram, but they are big on Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok. Do you understand? So it's important for you to know what kind of creator are you, first of all. And then what, I think I've said this like 5 times already, what are you optimizing for? Do you get? Are you optimizing for fame? Are you optimizing for, some people are using content creation as a stepping stone to another career. Either a career as a voiceover artist or a musician or Nollywood, they're trying to get into Nollywood acting. Sometimes content creation is the springboard for other things. So it's important for you to now ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve really? Do you get? So you can have digital products, it can be the main, you can try to attract brands. Me, I don't have any main. The main is whatever I'm focusing on at the moment. But I have digital products because those are the ones that I earn from even when I'm not actively promoting, right? So because somebody can just go to the link in my bio at 2 a.m. in the night and buy my digital product and I didn't tell them to buy it. Do you understand? So I think you can at the same time optimize for different things. But one of the most important things, is consistency and relationships. Those two, like, oh my God, so important, because you never know, by just having the right relationship, you don't even know what you're optimizing for. Almost every brand deal I've gotten is somebody that just calls me like, yo, Salem, I need you to do this for this person. Yo, this one. The job, all the 9 to 5 I've gotten, is somebody that called me to say, yo, Jiget. So it's showing up so that there's top of mind awareness and people are always thinking about you. And then relationships, collaboration. There's nothing that optimizes you more than that. And people that know that, okay, you have this competence, you do this thing, I'll always hit you up for this type of thing, and just keeping those relationships.
I was going to ask what are the top 2 tips you have for content creators, but I think you've already answered it. So my last question is, which brand deal did you enjoy the most, or which brand have you worked with that you'd be like, you know what, this was my favorite campaign, I loved this brand?
I think you'll have to be Taylor, the furniture brand.
Oh, okay.
Lifestyle furniture brand. I really enjoyed working with them. Please, all the other brands should not be angry. I've had other ones that I deeply enjoy. I think a close second would be One Chance, the Nigerian board game. So I think from the way I'm answering, you get an idea of the kind of brands I like to work with.
Yeah.
But I work with all kinds of brands, fintech, even commercial banks, all of that. But I really, really enjoy working with lifestyle brands because of the creative freedom they really give you, and how that when they give you creative freedom, you see the results, right? A lot of big brands, they're like, oh, this is this thing, this is our, say this, don't say this, these are, and you just do it. But like with the brands that give you creative freedom, you now see the results, and everybody's happy, and like you see. Are you not happy you gave me creative freedom?
You can't blame the brand sometimes.
But yeah, I get that.
There are some creators that you literally have to spoon feed.
So I always work with a brief. Like if you don't send me a brief, I won't work with you. But I want a brief and creative freedom. So it's not like you don't give me a brief and just go and do what you like. No. Still give me a brief, but I need to now establish that, okay, this is my audience. This is how my audience likes to be communicated with. And this is how they like to hear from me. Do you understand? So this is what will work. A lot of times it's really difficult to explain, especially if, the executives haven't been following you, and also it's a hard sell. But with lifestyle brands, because their vibe is already very relaxed and chill, it's easier to sell that to them. And then when you work with them, the results actually show that I was right, I was right.
But do you always declare when it's a sponsored post?
No. So I don't, for a number of reasons. One, before I work with any brand, I do my research. Right? I've had a lot of brands that there's money and everything, and I just decide I don't want to work with them, right? Because some either one thing doesn't align with my values, or I don't feel like I know enough about their products. I do my research, and I feel like if I promote this and somebody from my audience asks me a question, I can't answer well, so I would rather not. Other times when I decline is when I find that the target market of the brand is not in my audience. Because sometimes they just want to work with you because you have a large following. And I check and I'm like, okay, I know you want to work with me, but this is not going to convert. My followers are not going to buy what you're selling because they don't need it. Me, I know that because I know my followers. So there are times like that when I will, I'll decline.
But the funny thing is, in Canada, for example, it's almost, I don't know if I say almost, or it is illegal for you to work with a brand and not declare that it's a sponsored post.
I know. So I think is that way in the US too.
Yeah, it's that way in the US. It's like an FCC guideline.
Yeah, there are advertising laws that prohibit. In Nigeria, we don't have those laws.
I don't know. We're on vibes.
One vibes. So I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I would declare. Other times I prefer for it to be organic. Do you understand? I prefer for it to be
because
organic.
many times once people see that paid partnership,
they
don't even want to calm down and even watch the video. They just.
Yeah, so I really like for it to be organic. I still declare a lot of times, a whole lot of times. But some other times I want it to just be organic. My audience, they still know that it's an ad, of course, because I'm an influencer.
Know. I've been following you. Sometimes I don't know. I mean, it's a good thing that your content was that good and you even declared that it's an ad that I still couldn't tell. It must be that good.
But yeah,
honestly.
I mean, if it ever becomes like a law, I make sure to not be, I make sure to not be deceptive, like, for example, there's certain things I won't promote. There's a skin lightening cream or slim tea. No.
Something glow.
My hand no do. But all those like I will never affiliate, I will never associate with, certain of those kind of products because I feel like I would have to go against my values, and so with all these ones I'm not trying to be deceptive at all, if anybody asks, like I'm fine revealing that it's a sponsored post. I just understand that if I put hashtag ad, it already, it just blocks out a whole lot of
people.
Yeah.
Interesting. The funny thing is, I work at an influencer agency, and you see the way, every single time, in fact, let me not say every single time, maybe like 60% of the time, the sponsored post always do way less than the organic post. And I don't know why. Like, sometimes I'm torn between thinking maybe the algorithm itself suppresses it, or is it people? What is it? So what is it about the word in paid ad sponsorship with this that makes people just, I don't want to hear that.
I don't like people selling me stuff. It's like when I'm in traffic, I don't like you can be in traffic and traffic is already a bad experience, right? But like somebody putting a book in your window is making the bad experience worse. Do you get? So it's like I think naturally as human we just don't like to feel like we're being sold. stuff, which is weird because we're always buying stuff, you know. But so that's it. Shouldn't stop you if you're an influencer. It shouldn't stop you because there'll be people that won't comment, but they'll buy.
Yeah,
you know.
that's really true.
So that's why, like, when I want to promote a class or a digital product, whether it's 5 likes, it don't concern me. Like, I'll still be posting because from experience, a lot of people that buy from you will not even interact. They won't engage. They'll just go and buy. You know, they'll just go and buy. They'll just go and use your discount code on the low.
Yeah, they
So you
never tell
have to
you.
put it out. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're done with the questions. We just have like the flash questions. First question: what is in season, seconds, minutes, but not in decades?
Seasons, seconds, minutes.
But not in decades. 9, 10, 8, 7.
I don't know. What's the answer?
N, the letter N.
Oh my god.
Okay. Second question. A place crashed between the border of Canada and America.
A plane.
Yes, a plane.
Okay.
A crash between the border of Canada and America. Where do you bury the survivors?
A crash between the border of Canada and America. Where do you bury the survivors? Not America.
Oh my God. Think again. One last shot. Give it one last shot.
Plane crashed. No, it crashed now. There are no survivors. Wait. Why are you burying the survivors? They survived!
Why did you bury the survivors? They survived, so why you bury them?
Wow.
Okay. You always find me in the past. I can be created in the present, but the future can never taint me. What am I?
God's promise.
Actually, it's good. It's actually true. God's promise we never. The answer is history.
Wow.
You always find me in the past. I can be created in the present, but the future can never taint me. History. Okay. The person who makes this. Okay, I am something. The person who makes me has no need for me. The person who buys me has no need for me. The person who uses me can neither see me nor can they feel me. What am I?
The person who buys me, the person who buys you has no need for you.
Yes.
How will anybody buy something they don't have need for? You look like you know the answer.
Yeah, of course. It's the one that looked for the questions.
I don't know. How many have I failed now?
I'm not even counting.
Hey, good.
Okay. The person who makes me has no use for me. The person who buys me has no use for me. The person who uses me cannot see me and cannot feel me. What am I?
I don't know what you are.
Right? I will not be this thing, but it is a coffin.
I couldn't have guessed.
Okay, I'm looking for the last question. I think we have one last question. I'm trying to look for like a situational question that an influencer has gone through. Okay, I think my last question is, how do you handle or manage like crisis as an influencer? Have you ever had like a situation like that? Maybe someone, lambasted you or said something negative about you on social media and it's beginning to gain traction, or maybe it's something you posted and somebody is what's wrong with that Salem self and it begins to gain traction. How do you manage that? How do you handle this?
Well, I've never had a major crisis. I just talk to people because I believe that no human being is as indifferent as they say they are, in my opinion. So I just try to have a conversation with them But if you pass my power, I'll just escalate it to my manager. That's all. My
I actually
manager is
didn't know
like
you have a manager. So if Salem has a manager, then you give us your manager's email so that if you want to contact Salem,
yeah.
go to the
You
manager.
can send me an email to just my manager that will respond. But like, yeah,
As a boss. Okay, last question.
yeah.
This is a situational question, okay? You have 1 million followers. You have great engagement, you have everything. And then you have a meet and greet and nobody shows up. What do you do?
I'll invite my friends.
What if your friends are like, they are in faraway places that they can't make it?
I'll break down crying, man. I'll break down crying, and then after I cry, I'll go home, I'll make fried yam, I'll have some hot chocolate and sleep. But I'll cry. I'll make sure I cry very well. But I know that once I cry, it's out of my system, I'll be fine.
And that brings us to the crying end of this. Thank you so much, Salem, for the time out.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Creatives Lounge. Bye.